on into God's house.
Balls and a butthole. You're a comedic genius.
Can't goddamn lay down on the floor in your own house. Ow.
You wanted to film it.
Yeah, well.
We're the blunt people, y'all.
Time for the
Trangus
headliner,
time.
baby.
It's Trangus time,
Trangus's
baby.
section. To say, as far as sources go, I just used Wikipedia, and there was this one article called "The Blue People of Troublesome Creek" by a woman named Kathy Trost in Science magazine in like 1982, and that's
Science
actually
magazine. That sounds real.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's check Slack. You guys see what I posted there, the autosomal recessive. So I just wanted to kind of like explain how this works to a certain degree.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm going to take notes. This is going to be.
Yeah. No, you got to, bro. No, you got to. So basically the way it works is this is like one of the most simple genetic mutation ways. If you wind up with like a father and a mother who are both unaffected, but they have like the mutated gene, then when they have kids, right, you're going to get a mix. So, you know, you have a 1 in 4 chance of having a kid that doesn't inherit the mutated gene, but then you have a 2 in 4 chance of having kids that inherit one, you know, half of the mutated gene, but then you're going to have
Inherit the gene, but don't display the whatever.
Right. Sorry. Yeah. Unaffected. So
yeah.
One kid who doesn't even get the gene, 2 kids who are unaffected, and then, you know, 1 in 4 chance of a kid who winds up with both of the mutations from both parents, and they wind up with the mutation. So when we talk about like these kind of genetic mutations, the most popular thing that people refer to is the Habsburg line of because
Royals.
of royals.
Old-timey royales.
Yeah, most of our cultural examples of these types of problems come from European nobility attempting to maintain some kind of family bloodline. Which they did it, I guess, to maintain control over land, which is a really funny thing, is that like that was just, they're like, sorry, you got to marry your cousin so we can keep this hectare of land over here. You don't have a choice. You just have to marry your cousin.
If you don't, they're gonna build a strip mall on it. We gotta do this.
Ye old 1470 strip mall.
Yeah. So that wasn't a great system, and it caused some truly fucked up looking Caucasians. And like I mentioned, the House of Habsburg, that was an Australian and Spanish dynasty. It was one of the most prominent royal houses of Europe in like the second millennia. And while European nobility commonly married with the same extended family to retain property, like I said, the Spanish and Austrian Habsburgs were unusual in the degree to which they followed this policy.
Because they were into it. They were just into it.
They like it.
Yeah. They're like, no, there's something about this.
They were being all sassy about it and stuff.
Of 11 marriages contracted by Spanish monarchs between 1450 and 1661, the vast majority contained some element of consanguinity.
Consanguination? No,
consanguinity, which is like a really fancy word of saying
shared
blood. Yeah, no.
I know my morphemes.
Yep. So while
I have no idea what y'all are talking about, just
they like have some shared DNA.
No,
yes.
I know.
Like
I know. I just have literally
basically.
never heard that word.
Consanguinity. Well, I like the word just because it's like such a fancy way of saying they were inbred.
I like saying they're inbred. That's
yeah, I guess why am I trying to make it fancy? These people,
the small circle.
They were just having these like horribly deformed kids, and they're like, I'm sorry, we can't stop this or our yard will be smaller. And I love mowing the yard.
We've come this far. Okay.
I love having my slaves mow the yard. My serfs.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and what happened with the Habsburgs is they got something called a Habsburg jaw. So I will send that to you guys as well. That's
Give
like
me the jaw, baby.
Yeah.
This is gonna come up in future episodes when I'm roasting people's beards.
Habsburg jaw is what's called?
Habsburg's jaw.
Habsburg.
Huh. That's so the line was Habsburg, and then they would all wind up looking like really messed up. And then
Oh.
King Charles II, I can't
Gotcha.
remember the name of.
Ooh, that
You see that guy?
thing is
Ooh.
that thing is
Yeah.
John.
Right.
And that was, they were trying to make him look good in that photo. You know what I mean? Like someone painted that, and he's the leader. He was their king since he was 3 years old. So that's the king. You got to make him.
wise king.
You got to make it look like him, but you can't make him look like he looks. You know what I mean? It's bad.
Yo, he's hideous in a painting, so I can only imagine how he looked in regular life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, but
So-
like I don't, when you're a king though, like that, like you just go, you know what? This is what is attractive. That's what it is. Okay. It's your job.
Yeah, that's true. You have that
I'm
power.
the fucking king. I'm the
Yeah.
prettiest.
And I'm surprised they didn't beard that shit up, man. Put a little powerful gootee on that thing. See, I
It
got
might have made it
beard
worse.
face.
It might
Don't
have made it
cover that
worse.
thing up. You show it off.
He also may not have been able to grow a beard, you know?
That is,
Yeah.
A
that is
contemporary
generations of
reported.
incest right there. You
Yep.
show that thing off. All right. His great great grandmother worked for that shit.
Forgive me for being fucking pure. Knocking
He's just
shit on
calling
the
everybody a
tables.
mixed breed.
Bunch of fucking mutts. Bunch of mutts out here.
All right.
Okay,
A
Trappy.
contemporary reported this was so pronounced in Charles that he swallowed his food without thoroughly chewing, which resulted in frequent stomach problems. So he just had to like throat whatever food he
Yeah.
was gonna eat.
'Cause it's
Like
too
a
short.
pelican?
This is
he
really
actually-
getting us back to Chase's Kobayashi.
I was about to say he actually ate 78 hot dogs in 12 minutes. I was trying to get there.
Oh.
I was like putting my hand up, like what?
Let me do the
joke.
So he could have beat the bear, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, yeah, scared that fucking bear.
So Charles experienced extended periods of ill health throughout his life. Historian John Langdon Davies summarized his life as follows: "Of no man is it more true to say that in his beginning was his end. From the day of his birth, they were waiting for his death." So
Ooh,
yeah.
God damn.
when I took genetics in college, I remember very specifically my professor saying like, genetic mutations are like shooting a shotgun at a bicycle. Like it's rarely gonna work better. So, you know, in popular culture, like X-Men and everything, it's like, oh, this mutation gave him an extra power. And it's like almost always it's bad. So that was just my example to get us into this, because I don't actually care about talking about the Habsburgs. I want to focus on my favorite, which happened it started in 1820 in Kentucky and spanned for 6 generations. And that's the Blue Fugates. So these were blue people. They were literally blue. Like if you saw them, they are the color blue.
What's the year?
1820.
And they don't have painted portrait money, I imagine.
Actually, there is a painting. I will post it in the Slack channel now.
Hell yeah.
There's always a thing.
There's always
Pics or they
yeah,
pics or they weren't that blue, is what I have to say.
exactly. Well, that's the annoying thing, is like they were very sensitive about it. So there's not a lot.
I fucking bet they were.
Yeah, right. Let's see.
I'm just like, imagine seeing that out in the wild. Just walking
Yeah,
like
because they weren't like
Just
in
a fucking
cities.
Smurf?
Like you would just, if you were wandering around in like the middle of nowhere in Kentucky, you would see these people.
Oh
and
my god.
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, so there was just these blue people.
Yeah.
We're
wandering
looking
around
at some blue
Kentucky.
people. I can't. I'm so glad that the respectfully the video viewing audience at home. I'm sorry that for our jaw dropped silence. That is ridiculous.
They're
that's
terrifying.
crazy.
Those
Yeah.
children are
Because I feel
terrifying.
like since it is a painting, it might have been like worse in actual life,
Same.
you know?
Oh boy, that is nutty. Okay, get
That's
after it, Travis.
crazy.
Who's mommy, daddy, own grandpa?
Okay, I just got
And
back.
also,
What
is that
happened?
what this family, what the song "I'm My Own Grandpa" is based off of?
I don't know that song, but yeah, there was somebody
you
with their own
serious?
grandfather in this. Let's see.
Huh. That's crazy.
So the disease that this actually was, let's actually talk about what it was. There is a disease called methemoglobinemia, which is a very hard word to say, but very easy to explain. And by the way, this this whole thing, if you look up like blue people, you will see a lot of references to this Oprah episode where they had a blue man on, and I'll post the blue man here in the Slack so you guys can see it. This is something different though. This type of blue man, which there's a lot of stuff trying to say that this guy's one of the Blue Fugates, but that's not accurate. So can you guys see that I just posted? This is a different this is a different
this
disease.
dude's just a dumbass, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. What he has is called argyria, which is when you're dumb and you just ingest a bunch of colloidal silver, which is another way to turn yourself blue. But that was just like people used to use it as like an antibiotic. So I guess this guy thought that that it was some miracle cure. So he rubbed it all over his face and drank a bunch of it, and he just turned Papa Smurf blue.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's a different type of blue. The one we're talking about, methemoglobinemia, is basically it changes your hemoglobin. So these people's blood is like dark brown, right? And there's not a lot of cases of this. There was some guys in Northern Ireland, they called the Blue Men of Lurgan, and they had it. And there was some indigenous people in Alaska that at some point they had it, because that's how they kind of figured out what this is. So I'm going to tell you now, like, the story of the Blue Fugates, because it all started, they like tracked it back. It started with this guy named Martin Fugate, who was a French orphan that immigrated to Kentucky in 1820 to claim land on the shores of Troublesome Creek. So anyone want to guess why he was an orphan? Because we don't know, but boy, I bet it's because his parents were related. We don't know that Martin was blue. The family lore says he was, but either way, he managed somehow to find and marry a woman who had a mutation in the same gene for methemoglobinemia.
Okay, gotcha. So we don't know whether or not they were blue at the time.
No, we don't know. Everyone says, so that's the thing too, is like, these are very poor people who moved in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. There were no roads, there were no railroads. They just moved out there and lived, right? So like, they really have no contact with anyone. And it was just a thing for them that like some of them happened to be blue. And that was something they would always say is like, there's only a few families out there. So the kids would just marry each other and have kids. And that would propagate the line over a course of like 160 years, Fugates married other Fugates. Sometimes they married first cousins. Sometimes they married the people who lived close to them. The families were the Combses, the Smiths, Richies, and Stacys.
Sorry, I just want to say that me and Vanessa's faces are so troubled right now. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
They all lived in isolation from the world.
Just stop having kids. Oh.
Yeah, bunched and
you gotta have somebody to mow your lawn, though, don't you?
Right, somebody got to work on the farm.
And that's the thing, is back in the day, you had as many kids as possible, right? So that's why there were so many of them. They were bunched up in log cabins, and it was, they were like, oh, it's only natural that you married the girl next door, even if she had the same last name. That's how far out there these people were, where like they didn't even have context to, how weird that was, I guess.
They deserve to be blue. That's what I say.
I don't agree. I don't think it's their fault.
I think it's their fault they were fucking their cousins.
Well, they did fuck themselves blue. Initially, I think that it was a problem, but I think later, like, it was like two random people from Kentucky could meet and like have kids, and one of those kids could turn out to be blue, and like, how would they know that they were related?
Because the kids
unless
blue.
they got like a DNA test. Well, yeah, now they know, right? Now they know.
That's the worst way to find out your cousins, is when your baby comes out blue.
God damn it!
Right?
Like, God, I didn't ask 2 questions. I didn't fucking ask.
Oh, by the way, who's your uncle?
Right?
Is it my daddy?
Oh no.
So there's a coal miner and an amateur genealogist who is from the area. Yeah, and he says when they settled this country back then, there was no roads. It was hard to get out, so they intermarried. And like, they all make it sound like it's like this very like, but here's my thing, is this was 6 generations, and this is where, like, I was defending them earlier, but to me, if you had 6 generations to build a road to find other people to have sex with.
To get the fuck out of this hole, this holler.
Yeah,
in
it is weird,
Kentucky.
right?
Yeah.
And that same guy says he has Fugate blood in his own veins, and he made like his own genealogy, and he's quoted as saying, "If you'll notice, I'm kin to myself," which is amazing. So yeah, 6th generation. This is how. So, and now I'll tell you the story of like how they found out about all this, because this was all happening in the middle of nowhere. So it's not like it was common. It was just like randomly, if you went out to the boonies in Kentucky, you might hear stories about blue people. But when they found them, what happened was 6 generations after Martin Fugate immigrated to Kentucky, his great grandson, kid named Benji Stacy, was born, and he was born blue. And the doctors were all freaking out because they didn't know about this very rare genetic disease. So they were like prepping everything. And then his grandmother spoke up and was just like, "Hey, have you ever heard of the Blue Fugates of Troublesome Creek?" And the doctors hadn't. And she just explained to them, like, "Yeah, my grandmother, Luna, on my dad's side was a Blue Fugate. It was really bad in her." She said the doctors finally came to the conclusion that Benji's color was due to blood inherited from generations back. So like they were able to be like, "Oh my God, this is like a crazy genetic mutation." By the way, that
No,
kid
they were like, not enough leeches, bad humors, bleed her out. They didn't say genetic mutation.
Yeah.
They're like, that's the devil.
No, I mean this was in the 1980s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still, it's
still
Kentucky.
the devil. Yeah.
Well, the kid lost his blue color because I guess when you're a baby, you just you don't have as much of the enzyme, which is the mutation is in an enzyme called diapherase. And as a baby, you just don't have it. But as you get older, you just your body makes more. So after a while, he turned to a normal color again. He still turns like blue in his fingers when he gets cold or upset, I guess.
It was
When he's
blue season.
doing spells.
That's kind of cool.
Blue
That's
season.
like a superpower.
At this
Those
weather,
spoons that changed color when you put it in the milk.
at this
Yeah.
weather, my blue just starts acting up. I don't know.
Yeah. So the guy who figured out, the guy who like solved the let's see, I guess
coal miner?
solved. No, it wasn't the coal miner. That was just a random guy who knew about it. But there was this guy named Madison Cawein, who I think is like the son of a famous poet or something from Kentucky. But he worked at the University of Kentucky's Lexington Medical Clinic in 1960. They said Cawein is no stranger to eccentricities of the body. He helped isolate an antidote for cholera. He did some of the early work on L-Dopa, the drug for Parkinson's disease. But his first love, which he developed as an Army medical technician in World War II, was hematology, or the study of blood. Blood cells
I'm a
always
blood
look so
man.
beautiful to me, he said. Yeah, he's like a weirdo. He's like a big
bloodman.
blood guy. I'm a bloodman. So Cawein heard about them, and he would just drive back and forth around the area where
On their nice roads.
yeah,
to other places.
just kind of like around, like he was literally just scouring and trying to like find one of them because he wanted to find out what made them blue. And then randomly he met this nurse named Ruth Pendergrass, and she told him that she had a woman who came in and was completely blue, and she was like freaking out about it. So she's like, "Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. She's one of the Blue Fugates." And so they were able to like go out and actually find them. And like, by the way, all these people are super cagey and just like, you know, way out in the middle of nowhere. They do not want to be found. They do not want to talk to you about why they are blue. And so trudging up and down the hollows, fending off, and this is a quote, the 2 mean dogs that everyone had in their front yard, which is like everyone has guard dogs, I guess. They said they would like see someone blue and like chase after them, and it's like, well, that's not a good way to catch them. And then eventually
They're fast.
Yeah. And then eventually 2 more blue people walked into the clinic, and he examined them, and they started trying to like chart the family, and he drew blood from them, and they were like humiliated. Like there's a whole thing about like they wouldn't look at anybody, and they really hated being there, you know, clearly.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so the doctor was like looking for what might be making people blue, and luckily he found an article written by a doctor in Anchorage who was trying to treat some indigenous people that had been having issues with their blood that was similar. And he worked out that it was this mutation of the diaphragmase enzyme or whatever. So this Kawain guy was like, oh, if that's true, because it's basically, it has to do with like just the chemical equilibrium in your blood. So his trick to cure them was he gave them a dye called methylene blue, which is ironic because it's just a very blue dye. And he would just have them take it. And then it's just because it was an electron donor. This is chemistry, but that changed the equilibrium in the blood enough that it would release the oxygen. So they would turn from blue back to like normal white people, like pinkish color kind of. Anyways, they thought he was an idiot when he was like, you should just take this blue dye. It'll make you turn like regular color again. Yeah. And there's like a lot of them just being like, this guy's the stupidest, like what? And then they took it and immediately just changed back to normal color, apparently.
No.
Yeah. It was so that's there are no more Blue Fugates, because even if there are, they just take a very basic medication.
That is amazing. I'm amazed.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't happen to be, and the cure is not like something about changing their blood chemistry.
Well, no, it's literally, so the weird thing about them is this is like a crazy mutation, and technically it should have been like very, what they call deleterious to your health, which is like, it should have lowered your life expectancy. But apparently these people were just tough and were living to like 80, 90 years old, having like 14, 16 kids and like really propagating. So yeah, that's one of the other mysteries, is like, how come this didn't like hurt them more than you would think? Like they were turning blue because their bodies were not getting enough oxygen. But I guess if you don't know any different, what does that even feel like? I don't know how to like even explain that. But none of the family who was alive wanted to talk about whether or not the family that was dead were blue, right? Because they just were like, leave them alone. Don't talk about them that way.
Leave Jeb alone. Do not taint his legacy.
Ain't hurt nobody.
Ain't hurt nobody being blue.
As coal mining and the railroads. What?
I said they were so inclusive.
Yeah. As coal mining and the railroads brought progress to Kentucky, the Blue Fugates started moving out of their communities and marrying other people. The strain of inherited blue. Yeah, they made it.
Yeah. Only took 100 years.
Yeah. And that inherited blue began to disappear as it kind of got like washed out down the line. Benji Stacy, that kid who came in blue, he's one of the last of the Blue Fugates. With Fugate blood on both his mother and his father's side, the boy could have received genes from the enzyme deficiency from either direction, because the boy was intensely blue at birth, but then recovered his normal skin tones. Yeah. They were like, no, he's like, yeah.
It's a bright blue baby boy.
Yeah.
Right, like Blue Man Group.
Benji is assumed to have inherited only one gene for the condition. Some people tend to be very blue only at birth because newborns normally have smaller amounts of diaphragmase. Okay, so that's what I was saying earlier. The enzyme eventually builds to normal levels in most children and almost normal levels in those like Benji, who only carry one gene. Right, so there are no more Blue Fugates today. Benji might still be alive, but he's not blue anymore. But blues. For about 160 years, if you wandered through the wilderness in Kentucky, there was a pretty good chance you would see a blue person and no one would be there to explain why.
Amazing.
And no one would believe you.
Yeah.
Not right.
And you get
right.
shot
I'm
if you ask somebody,
You're
like, why so blue? And they're like, if you think I haven't fucking heard that before, I will shoot you in the face.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They get all offended. Like, you don't even know what you're saying. Okay. Disrespect my grandmother.
It's the shadows.
Well
done, Travis.
Yeah, good shit, Travis. It's funny that they can like take a pill, right? That's what you said. It's like take a pill and they fucking were.
Yeah, so it's literally a dye. Like it's the same. Like I'm wearing a blue shirt. It might even be the same dye they use for the shirt. I used to use methylene blue all the time. When I was like in school.
That shit.
Yeah, man. I didn't like you when you was on that, man.
You
weren't trying us.
It's a very common reagent used in labs and stuff. I have a biochemistry degree, so there was a lot of like lab.
Yeah, we
work,
hear.
and- yeah, no, I had to. Oh, you think I wasn't gonna know point that out? Took me
I'm
5
surprised it took
years.
surprised it
Took me
took this
5
long.
years.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's a very common dye that they use in chemistry all the time for like titrations and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
it
of
just so
course.
happened to be like something non-lethal that they could give. So if you take that, it lowers the amounts of methemoglobin in your blood, which increases the amounts of regular hemoglobin in your blood, which turns you not blue.
Pink.
So
Yeah.
would it have worked on the Oprah dummy?
No, that's different.
So he's just blue, and there's a pill to make you not blue, but not for him.
Not for him. No.
He chose that life.
You
Yeah.
chose it. You
Yeah.
gotta sit in it. Tell
Yeah.
Oprah what
No.
you did.
Yeah.
Tell Oprah what you did.
I'll put the video in the details of this so people can watch that Oprah video. It's like her and Dr. Oz, who fucking sucks. Fuck him. And they're just talking
He's
to
running
this
with
guy.
Herschel Walker, actually.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Vanessa can cover Dr. Oz next time.
Man, we really managed to kind of keep this together, didn't we? This was cohesive this
Yeah.
episode.
A couple
Yeah.
It
pros.
really was.
Yeah.
That's because
no-
that's because not all of us have a degree in it, but we got chemistry, baby.
Hey.
Hey, blood people, baby.
Love people. You down with BPP?
Yeah, you know me.
All right, who's got plugs?
July 24th, I'm headlining Tacoma Comedy Club. Vanessa Dawn is opening for me.
Yeah.
I'm on the calendar and everything. Come out and see both of us.
Right.
Yup.
Yeah.
July
Follow me
20
on social, baby.
Yes, at Aaron Engel, right? On
Nope,
everything?
not even close.
Oh, uh-oh.
Don't you
Ingle time.
remember the dots?
Ingle time on
put-
Twitter, at Aaron Ingle time with some periods in between on Instagram. Travis, you're doing a smart thing. That's a really smart thing that you did. I love and respect it. It was very good. Very well
Do you
done.
have
I'll
like
have to make me a background.
chemistry degree or some type?
Yeah, I'm real smart, guys. Big smarty.
Sorry, plug your show, Travis.
Oh, I'm headlining Club Comedy in Seattle on Capitol Hill, July 22nd and 23rd. So come see me. That'll be great. Buy tickets. Check them out. Subscribe to the Blunt People YouTube channel and my own YouTube channel, Travis Nelson Comedy. And if you check out my website, I got a bunch of different stuff. So I have like a bunch of different web series and stuff on my YouTube. And on my website, if you're interested, I have a bunch of short fiction, which people have recently started commenting on. So that's cool. I know like
Got a
1% of
buzz.
people actually read books. So I didn't expect anyone to actually look at my short fiction, but if you want to, it's there.
And the comments are open, baby. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, it'll hurt my
Whatever.
feelings real bad. I'm real sensitive about that.
Right. And this just in, guess who's hosting for Travis at Club Comedy on the 22nd?
Wait,
It's
seriously?
me.
You didn't tell me that?
Love it.
It's just in, Travis. It's just in.
Yeah,
Wow,
breaking
okay.
news.
Oh, that's amazing.
Breaking news. You didn't know, but now you do.
Yup.
Uh,
Subscribe to our newsletter
yeah,
on
check us out.
thebluntpeople.com. We have a
Yes, and then
website.
come to the Blackout in
Blackout.
Capitol Hill, Seattle, every fourth Thursday of the month. The only all-black comedy showcase in Seattle. And your girl helps make it happen.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. I'm going to be in Minneapolis on the weekend of the, let's see, it's in Minneapolis on the 22nd, 23rd. So hopefully,
Nice.
hopefully our spread, has reached the Midwest by then,
Yeah, I
get
think
some-
we
will.
Absolutely.
Somebody in the Midwest gonna hear this.
Go tell Erin you heard her on the Blunt People podcast.
There it
Make
is.
sure that- yeah. And,
Rad.
is that the word, baby bird?
That's the word, baby bird.
That's the
Boom.
word, baby.
Stay
The
blunted.
end. What does that mean?
what
What
does
is
she
that?
mean?
Is that a drug thing?
Is that a drug thing? Is a good
Oh, geez.
sign off.